The following is intended for mature audiences. Welcome to a world where darkness and mystery converge. Navigate the depths of horror and true crime and join a society beyond the ordinary, where buzzworthy topics, paranormal tales, and listener-submitted experiences blend into a realm of the unknown. You have crossed into a place where the unusual and the terrifying are just the beginning. My name is Ralph Anthony, and welcome to the Scream Society podcast. Hello, Screamers. Welcome into another edition of this variety podcast from hell. I'm seriously considering a new label for the podcast because times are shaping up to be the ultimate hellscape. And why would I want to be in the same category as that? Regardless, welcome. If you've been here, thank you. You are beautiful. Hello. If you are new here, welcome. I've done absolutely no emotional stretching here, but I'm ready to dive right in. I've got a 911 call for us to dissect some truly disturbing findings on that demon, Jeffrey Epstein. And I like demons around here, but Jeffrey Epstein and the files that just came out are beyond. And finishing out the show, I've got a terrifying but true case that took over 40 years to catch the kidnapper, but it's a case of a mother who kidnapped her own daughter to start a new life. There's so much to unpack here, so let's dive right in. Now, when I listen to and cover a 911 call on this podcast, my perception of the dispatchers are always 50-50. Some calls I'm like, wow, this one is amazing. Others I'm like, what the hell is going on? How did you get this job? And I came across one that most definitely leans into the frustrating side of things. So let me set the scene here. It's June 2015 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have Jaden Chavez Silver, who is literally the definition of doing it all in the best way possible. He's 17, weeks away from graduating Manzano High School, already has his pilot's license, and is planning to join the U.S. Air Force. Just a light in the room, according to his mom, Nicole. Now, on June 26th, Jaden goes to a house party. He's just hanging out in the kitchen with friends, not causing trouble, just being a teenager. But outside, there's some serious drama brewing that has nothing to do with him. So apparently, a group of guys, Isaiah Madrid, Dominic Conyers, and Nicholas Gonzalez, are cruising around looking for revenge. Why? Because someone at that house supposedly beat up their friend 2 weeks earlier, or maybe there was a drug debt. It's all very messy and senseless, if you ask me. Now, they pull up, and instead of, asking questions, not turning to murder, they decide to fire blindly into the house. Now, at least 6 shots are fired through the kitchen window. One of them hits Jaden in the lung. And he wasn't even the target, you guys. He was literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, this is where it gets truly wild. Jaden's friend calls 911. She's panicked. She's performing CPR, and she's probably rightfully freaking out because in the heat of the moment, she uses the word fucking while talking to the dispatcher, Matthew Sanchez. But apparently that was too triggering for him. And instead of doing his job, Sanchez says, and I quote, "You know what, ma'am? You can deal with it yourself." And then he hangs up on her. Now, I tried to track down the entire call, but it seems all that's out there is this clip. Take a listen.
Not breathing?
Barely. Hey, what the?
Okay.
What
He's barely breathing. How many times does the fucking tell you?
Okay, you know what, ma'am? You could deal with yourself. I'm not gonna deal with this, okay?
No, I can't.
Unfortunately for Jaden, he didn't make it. Now, the dispatcher, Matthew Sanchez, was a 10-year veteran of the Albuquerque Fire Department and had been a dispatcher for over 3 years. Sanchez initially claimed that he hung up because he was frustrated by the caller's attitude. However, Fire Chief David Downey called this behavior unforgivable, which it was. He noted that dispatchers are trained. Do you hear that? Trained specifically to handle high stress, emotional callers without taking things personally. And to me, it comes down to common sense. Like, why would you take these calls personally? Especially in such a extreme situation like this, right? I don't think I would take someone who is in danger or trying to save a life if they have an attitude. I wouldn't take that personally, and I truly believe that. But in the end, Sanchez resigned in July of 2015, just after the audio was released to the public, and the New Mexico Department of Health permanently revoked his emergency medical dispatcher license, meaning he can never legally work that job in the state again. But wait, there's more. About a year later, in August 2016, Sanchez was hired as a cadet dispatcher by the Bernalillo County Fire Department, and people were livid. Like, wouldn't you thoroughly check the backgrounds of these people that you're hiring? Clearly not. Clearly he wasn't trained properly. He took this shit so seriously that he hung up. Now, after just a few days, the county did end up firing him following a major public outcry and an email from a county commissioner who cited his callous disregard for human life. Then Sanchez actually sued the county for wrongful termination, claiming he was qualified and unfairly fired due to media pressure. And he ultimately walked away with a $25,000 settlement from the county in 2017. Imagine being upset about that, knowing you could have been the one person who could have saved a life, but chose to be a gigantic man baby diaper stain and throw a tantrum because you got offended by a teenager. Anyway, enough about him. Isaias Madrid, the one who fired the fatal shot, was convicted of first-degree depraved mind murder and is serving life in prison to this day. His friend Dominic Conyers pleaded guilty to conspiracy and got 12 years. But here's the kicker. He was released early in October 2023 on Jaden's birthday because of prison good time programs. Now, the final criminal involved was Nicholas Gonzalez, and he was the first to flip. He took a plea deal to testify against the others and was the only one sentenced as a juvenile. And as for Jaden's family, they didn't just sit back. His mom, Nicole, and sister, Kennedy, fought for Jaden's law. In New Mexico, it used to be that juvenile records were sealed tight. This law, Jaden's law, now lets judges see if an adult defendant has a history of violent juvenile crimes when they're deciding on bail or sentencing. Now, what happened to Jaden Chavez Silver was an absolute tragedy, and the way the 911 dispatcher treated his friends was, to me, inexcusable. And unfortunately, this is an issue we see happening way too often, and it's really dangerous, especially when people's lives are on the line here. Let's get into sinister subjects. All right, I need you to get comfortable. Maybe grab a blanket or something to hold on to, because we are going to go to a place today that is honestly pitch black. Right. So the Epstein files have dropped. Well, more have dropped. And I know we have said that sentence so many times before that it's starting to feel like a reoccurring nightmare we can't wake up from, you know? And I blame myself here because an episode I did weeks back, I said that if more information came out, I would look into it, and here I am. But this isn't like those little trickles of information we've gotten in the past where They release a flight log and we all lean in and squint at it trying to read the names. This is a massive dump of 3.5 million documents, 3.5 million, with more that haven't come out yet. Well, I spent my Valentine's Day weekend not only being a slave to corporate America, but reading through and watching videos on this to kind of highlight key aspects for this episode, from conspiracy theories, black magic rituals, to the absolute worst types of crimes committed against humans. And it includes all sorts of people: celebrities, presidents, world leaders, politicians. And I will say that while some of this information has been verified, there are also portions that I will be going over that have not been verified. And with that, like I always say, I'll leave what you feel is fact or fiction up to you. Believe what you want. Aside from this information being given to us, it's all over the place, and I'm not here urging you to believe it. And look, we are living in a time where everyone is on this left, center, right mentality, right? And while I align with more progressive and left-leaning views, I consider myself someone who's just trying to be a good human being, someone who speaks out against shit I feel is wrong. So with that said, I will be naming politicians from all over the political spectrum. Hold them all accountable. Although some of y'all will still stand by them, which is wild to me. Now, let's really get into the weeds of the occult stuff first, because it really sets the stage for everything else, in my opinion. Now, question, do you remember a few years ago, what was it, 2022, when Kim Kardashian and Balenciaga were out here releasing campaigns that featured children holding teddy bear bags dressed in bondage gear? Do you remember that? And in those said photos, there was satanic or demonic images and references to the demon Baal, Baal. And there's even an image of caution tape spelling out Balenciaga, like Ball and then Enciaga. So anyway, before I go into a deep tangent, Jeffrey Epstein actually had a bank account named after Baal, the ancient deity. Now, in the Hebrew Bible, Baal is depicted as a false god and the primary rival to the God of Israel. The most famous conflict occurs in 1 Kings 18, where the prophet Elijah challenges 450 prophets of Baal to a fire contest on Mount Carmel to prove whose God is real. Now, biblical texts and some Roman accounts claim that certain forms of Baal worship involve human and child sacrifice. And with everything we've heard and we've learned and read, to what I'm about to get into is why I feel that's an important point here. So hold on to that. We're gonna just get right into it. And I kid you not, I just felt something behind me. Bitch. Hey, what's up, everyone? It is post-production Ralph, which is probably why my audio sounds a little bit different. But I just wanted to come on here and let you all know that during the recording, before I even got into the Epstein stuff, I felt like a really weird pressure behind me. And not long after that, my camera cut out, the one I used to record for my Instagram and TikTok promos. So yeah, it kind of freaked me out because I've never really experienced anything like that before, especially doing this with everything that I do talk about on this podcast. But it was just really freaking weird. So yeah, hopefully you can still listen to the episode. But if I do seem a little bit off, it was a little weird to keep going. But as they say, the show must go on. And I didn't want to go back and redo it just because let's dive back in. So there is an email in this batch from someone to Jeffrey Epstein that explicitly says, "I decided to sacrifice poor homosexuals," just like that. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never in my life, well, actually, Dumb joke. Look, I'm just trying to get through this as best as I can, and if I throw in a few dumb dad jokes to cope, let me live. Now, this email isn't much, maybe a joke, maybe code for something, but come on. And then you have this correspondence where Epstein is talking about a classic stage 3. What do you think this is, X-Men? Here, he's describing a young girl who was traumatized so severely through sexual abuse as a child that she is now gradually developing special and supernatural abilities. Yes, it sounds like a horror movie script, but when you actually look into things like trauma-based mind control, you realize this is something intelligence agencies have studied for decades. A side note, there's actually a website that I used to visit frequently before they turned MAGA, but they would do deep dives on Illuminati and demonic Hollywood imagery, MK Ultra, even films, and that was around the time when they were calling out pop stars for using Illuminati symbolism. I think Lady Gaga had just come out, Beyonce was in her like Sasha Fierce era, Rihanna was doing like devil campaigns. Now, it's called Vigilant Citizen, but just beware if you do go on there, because like I said, they've gone super far right, or they've always been, but have been more vocal for obvious reasons now. So the last time that I was on there, I seen a lot of anti-LGBTQ shit and realized, yeah, I'm definitely not welcome here. I'm gonna go. But this part really bothered me. Like, I was so uncomfortable reading about this concept of stage 3. Like, Epstein and his circle aren't just talking about abuse. They're talking about engineering a human being. They're literally trying to torture children into becoming psychic. And now, there is another email where Epstein and friends are discussing a group called the Zodiac. Sure, we are used to hearing about secret societies like the Illuminati, as I just mentioned, or whatever, but the Zodiac, not to be confused with the Zodiac Killer, is a group which supposedly only ever has 12 members at a time. 12 people, that is it. And their job isn't just influencing politics or money. The emails allege that they are in charge of crash retrieval. We are talking about alien intelligence, UFOs, things that fall out of the sky that regular people aren't supposed to know about. And this part actually, to me, vindicates survivors like Juliet Bryant, who has been saying for years that there was a UFO and non-human intelligence component to what she experienced. But she was always pushed aside because that sounded too crazy for the mainstream media. Now, allegedly, she has claimed that Epstein had some sort of connection to gray aliens. And she's even alleged to have witnessed Jeffrey Epstein turning into a reptilian, which is pretty out there. Honestly, if you've seen that recent interview that was just released with Epstein, he gives creepy, like demonic, maybe reptilian behavior. Again, this is all alleged, but what has come out in these millions of files, it's going to get worse. And this one is so nasty. Like, I want to uninstall every Microsoft program I've ever used. Bill Gates, what the fuck? Now, the files contain these specific emails where Epstein is essentially holding a mirror up to Gates' private life. And what we see is a dirty old man who was allegedly living this double life. There's a claim that Bill Gates contracted an STD from Russian girls, and instead of being a man and talking to his wife, he went to Epstein. He supposedly begged for a secret supply of antibiotics so he could dose his wife Melinda without her ever knowing she had been exposed. Think about the psychological profile of someone who would do that. Someone is basically drugging their partner without their knowledge to avoid a difficult conversation or a blow to your reputation, that you would medically roofie your own partner. All this just to avoid accountability. It's wild. On the positive side of that, since Melinda's reaction to this coming out was just unbelievable sadness, and honestly, can you blame her? She's out here trying to save the world with the foundation, and meanwhile, her ex-husband was allegedly using the world's most notorious trafficker as his personal pharmacy to cover up his indiscretions. Thankfully, they divorced in 2021 after 27 years, by the way. Melinda citing that it was because of the Epstein relationship. Now, here's the part that a lot of people have been pushing for because of our current leader, if you live here in America. Now, we have to talk about Donald Trump, okay? A witness claims that they saw Trump present at the killing and disposal of an infant. They claim the baby belonged to a 13-year-old trafficking victim. And beyond that, the documents describe an incident at Mar-a-Lago where Epstein allegedly introduced a 14-year-old girl to Trump, elbowing him and saying, "This is a good one, right?" There's another claim about Trump and a 13-year-old girl. Not sure if it's the same one with the baby, but that involves oral sex and him punching her after he is bitten by her. I'm not going to go into any more on that. Furthermore, there's also a limo driver's account from 1995 where Trump was allegedly on the phone with Jeffrey talking about abusing some girl. Like, imagine being a limo driver and overhearing this. Like, oh, just a couple billionaires having a casual conversation about being pedos. Like, going through this, I sound like a little bitch, but I truly feel sick to my stomach. Like, I feel like I'm not even supposed to like be reading this or sharing it. And for anyone who thinks this is just a get Trump operation, the files come for Joe Biden just as hard. There are descriptions from victims talking about sexual trips and being part of Epstein's inner circle when Biden was allegedly present as a perpetrator. We are talking about victims who were 10 or 11 years old at the time. The files also describe these gatherings as nonpartisan in the worst way possible. Basically, it was this shared playground for the powerful where the victim's age didn't matter as long as the overlords were happy here. And that's the issue I'm having here with people and netizens everywhere. Like, some people think this is just to bring down their Lord and Savior Donald Trump. And let's be real, the ones who worship this guy look and sound so crazy. But from where I sit, I want them all held accountable. Democrat, liberal, Republican, MAGA, independent, celebrities, influencers. If they were out here being nasty, they need to be brought to justice. I don't care. So this is where the Epstein files bring in the really scary shit. And for me, this was probably the darkest and most graphic. I mean, it's all disturbing and graphic, but this, and I know I'm moving quickly here. So a male accuser has come forward and alleges he was raped by George Bush Sr. The accuser alleged that this assault occurred during a yacht trip around the year 2000. The accuser claimed to have witnessed ritualistic sacrifices involving infants. The testimony alleges that infants were dismembered and that those present engaged in cannibalism, consuming intestines. The individual also alleged that his own feet were cut off with a curved sword. The victim also claimed that this was done in the presence of high-profile figures to ensure his initiation or silence. The accuser claimed that other high-profile individuals, including Donald Trump and Melania Trump, were present during the same yacht trip. Also, both George H.W. Bush, the senior one, and George W. Bush were, and let's be real, still are part of Skull and Bones. This is a lifetime commitment, and it's not some conspiracy theory either. It is actual fact on paper, and both of them have openly spoken about it and admitted to being members of this quote-unquote secret society. Now, look, they aren't going on 60 Minutes to call themselves a cult, but if you look at the energy of this group, it is very, 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 very suspicious. I truly don't understand why people don't talk about this shit more. I mean, we have multiple presidents who were initiated into a society that reportedly practices rituals involving initiates that are required to lie naked in a coffin and share their sexual history and deepest secrets with other members. And I've also heard, and this is gross, they also lay in the coffins while other members ejaculate on them. But like I said, while the Bushes and whoever else is a part of it will admit to being in this group, they will stay completely tight-lipped about what actually goes down inside that windowless tomb at Yale. It's a literal brotherhood of power, practicing really bizarre, shadow-heavy rituals behind triple padlocked doors. And we're just supposed to act like it's a normal extracurricular activity? I don't think so. Another conversation Epstein had was with the late sex offender and filmmaker Woody Allen, where there's this conversation about eating hearts and bones. According to this iMessage conversation that was released, and for the millionth time, take what you will as fact. Epstein tells Woody Allen he didn't just cause heartburn, he ate them. Allen replies, "Thanks, at least I'm thinner." Then Epstein says, "Because you also eat the bones providing fiber." Allen responds, "I don't like waste." Like, these are grown men. And while the subject matter of the conversation to me is disturbing, obviously, the tone and banter is very childish, right? Or is it just me? And look, all of this, and the only person in prison behind bars is Ghislaine Maxwell, who in 2021 was found guilty of child sex trafficking, linking her to Epstein. But of course, all of the men still walk free. Although I did hear of the arrest of Prince Andrew, who was also involved. And again, some of these claims are not verified and are alleged. Let me say that. Alleged. So again, take what you will as the truth. But I will say, in closing here, that I truly believe one of the reasons why these people with money, these people with power do shit that is so outrageous, so sick, evil, whatever you want to call it. I think they do it because it's so out there for everyday people like you and I doing normal things to process and believe. And we need more people coming out to speak out on this. One of the biggest inspirations to me has been true crime host Bailey Sarian, who just came out and spoke about pretty much everything, spoke on everything going on. And I'm sure their mainstream will label this as someone crashing out. But I'll leave it at that for now, because I need a break. Maybe some of you listening need to call your therapist after this, but I'll meet you back here for Terrifying But True. Let's take a break. Welcome into Terrifying But True, the segment where I choose one random true crime, dark history, or paranormal case and do a deep dive on it. This episode, I'm diving into a story that proves you can run, but you really cannot hide forever, even if you're living your best life in a Florida retirement community. Let's get into it. When the unthinkable becomes reality, we find ourselves questioning everything, as some stories are too terrifying but true. Flashback to, let's say, mid or end of December of 2025. I'm scrolling on YouTube Shorts. I know I'm such an oldie, but I seem to find more interesting videos on there than on TikTok. So I'm scrolling and come across this body cam video, and it's pretty viral at this point, and the whole time my mouth is on the ground. Now, the viral body cam video from the Marion County Sheriff's Office is literally like a scene from a movie. It's a bright sunny day in the Villages, Florida. We see 66-year-old Deborah Newton, or Sharon Neely as the neighbors knew her, just casually walking her dog, then stopping to chat with a friend. And just in the short clip, and if you've seen the video, this friend is the definition of nosy-ass neighbor. I'm just saying. So, deputies roll up, and one of them goes, "How are you doing, Miss Sharon?" The neighbor, clearly thinking this is some huge misunderstanding or prank, starts laughing and very annoyingly starts shouting a bunch of crap, including, "Uh-oh, they're coming for you, Sharon." Well, they were coming for her. Sharon/Deborah looks completely stunned as they tell her there's a warrant. She keeps repeating, "I didn't do anything," while trying to figure out what to do with her dog as they click the handcuffs on. And if you're like me and worry about the animals, Sharon/Deborah's husband comes out to grab the dog, as well as looking so confused. And by now you're probably asking, well, Ralph, what did Sharon do? And for that, we need to go back even further. Now, the year is 1983, back in Louisville, Kentucky. Sharon, going by Deborah at that time, tells her husband, Joseph, she was heading to Georgia for this new job and for him to set up a house for them and their 3-year-old daughter, Michelle. After one final phone call in 1984, she and the toddler Michelle just poof, vanished. Deborah didn't just hide. She would end up making the FBI's top 8 most wanted parental kidnapping fugitives list. So for years, authorities searched everywhere, but nothing. To the point that in 2005, the case was actually dismissed and Michelle was removed from missing person databases because the police lost touch with the father, Joseph. The case stayed dead until a family member asked to reopen it in 2015. And for me, I think the wildest part of this case is the daughter, Michelle, who is now 46, by the way, had no idea. Like, you're just out here living your life, doing your best, and find out you're actually a missing person. Police literally knocked on her door and said, "You're not who you think you are. You're Michelle Marie Newton." Because she also grew up under a fake name, never knowing her father was searching for her for 42 years. Now, Michelle has come out and said that she always felt like her mother had been hiding something, which made her suspicious. And Michelle and her father Joseph were finally reunited on Thanksgiving of 2025. While that seems like a happy ending, there may be more to this story. So Deborah Newton was extradited to Kentucky and pleaded not guilty to felony custodial interference. Since Kentucky has no statute of limitations on this charge, they can prosecute her 4 decades later. Prosecutors are currently fighting to include statements Deborah made during her arrest, which they say are vital to the case. And take a listen to what Deborah, aka Sharon, had to say during interrogation.
With Sharon.
Hi.
I don't think I gave you my name when we were at the house, but I'm Detective Lundorf. I'm assisting Detective Escobar. Just trying to get some basic information and everything. Your daughter, Amanda, was her middle name Marie? Yes? All right. Do you know a date of birth?
You mean as Michelle?
Yes, so we can identify her and find her, yes, ma'am.
Then you would want to look under... I'm really scared.
Why?
I don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, so he'll be, like I said, I don't have all that information. He'll be able to come in and to explain. I don't want to tell you something and it's not the truth because like I said, I don't know everything. He has all that information, so he'll be coming in. As far as I'm aware of, all I know of is there was a warrant issued and in reference to this with your daughter, I guess with some parental custody issues. And then I guess the other side of the family's been pushing it to find out because they didn't know if y'all were still alive or anything like that. And that's all I know.
Kind of want to start from the beginning. We know you're Deborah, the ones who are you confirmed out of Kentucky. Okay. We're trying to get in contact with Amanda just because she's still considered a missing person. There's a lot of unanswered questions throughout the years. Multiple agencies that have been working on this case, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, multiple sheriff's office, the Louisville Police Department. So I want to kind of give you the opportunity to just explain what happened, like how we ended up here today.
I don't even know if I can remember all the details. It's a long time ago. But when I was married to him, I got married. I think I was 17. And things were pretty good. But then he wanted some sort of open marriage. And he took pictures of me. And then when I tried to leave, Amanda was a baby.
We're talking about Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joseph, my husband. And he took pictures of me with 2 different men, 2 different times. Not together, but 2 different times. And said that if I left him, divorced him, he would take those and he would share them and show them to my family, my mom and dad. And so I had an opportunity to
run, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia,
What year do you think that was?
1983, I think. And the person there helped me to get false identification. And so I just kind of rebuilt a life because he was really mean. My husband doesn't know. He has nothing to do with this. He doesn't know. My daughter doesn't know. I think they probably both have suspected things in my life, like why I didn't get a driver's license in the state of Florida.
Now, I'm kind of coming into this, like I told you before, I don't know everything. So Joseph was your first husband, correct? And where was this at? Where did y'all originally live?
In Kentucky.
In Kentucky. You remember the city of Kentucky?
It was in Louisville.
Louisville? Okay.
I never spoke to him again. And when I was kind of going through the process, he said that I couldn't leave him.
What process? Like divorce or?
I wanted to get a divorce because I didn't want to be that kind of person.
Did anybody ever come looking for you in the show?
You mean like knock on the door question?
Like Joseph, did he ever come looking for
Oh, no. Honestly, maybe he was glad with the distance between us because it left him free to do the things he wanted to do, which was being with other people.
So he did come looking for you guys in Georgia. I guess you found some paperwork there for divorce and he actually tried to knock on the door to where you guys were living at. Do you remember that at all?
Never.
And it's got this kind of two sides. This is what he said throughout the years back in the 90s, and this is what you're saying.
I understand that, but never. Neither did my mother or my father.
Was there any other type of domestic abuse or anything like that? Anything else going on? Anything physical or you down?
Yeah.
What all happened?
Oh, he would hurt me.
No.
He would hit me. He would hurt me. He would force me. But most of all was the threats. But yeah,
Tortures and everything.
Yeah, and there was a time, the biggest thing that I remember that has nothing to do with this, but his family, brothers and sisters, were at the house, and I made spaghetti, and he was coming home from work with one of his colleagues, and they were late, and there was no more spaghetti because everybody ate it. And he took a knife and bam, slammed the table. And his family was there. His brothers and his sisters were there. I mean, he was not even afraid to show that side in front of his family.
Do you know a Michael?
Yes.
Okay, who is he to you?
He's the one who helped me get the false identification.
Did he move down to Tampa with you at all, or?
He did not move down to Tampa with me, but I heard rumors that he did move to St. Petersburg. No, never lived with him in Tampa.
Oh, how long were you in Pennsylvania?
Until 2008.
2008?
Then I got a job transfer to Charlotte, North Carolina. And then I moved up here in 2013. Retired 2 years ago. Because I don't know if it makes any sense, but I've been me for so long. I've just been me. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's been a long time. A very long time.
And when I met Reggie, I was just me. And I think there were always times when I felt bad. But I'd have you go backwards. Have you tell some mechanic custodian that a member of the law enforcement. He's probably one of the best people you'll ever meet. He's involved in the community. He's in the Marine Corps League. He does all these things for Toys for Tots and people. And I didn't want to ruin that. And I guess now I've ruined it anyway.
You had your reasons of, protecting you and your daughter. I mean,
I should have told the truth a long time ago. Do you know if my parents are alive?
They are not alive. Your sister is.
Do you know it? Joseph?
Joseph is still alive. Yeah. How did you, throughout the years, how did you enroll Amanda to school?
I don't know what you mean.
Like, you didn't need a birth certificate, just to fit one.
I was a good mom. I was a good mom.
when did you meet Mr. Reggie?
We've been married 23 years, so probably 26 years ago. Is he okay?
Your husband? Right there. We'll let you talk to him now. We'll let you talk to him.
And people are talking. Some unverified claims of abuse against Joseph have surfaced, And you've got creators online speculating and trying to read between the lines here. And I do see that perspective because unfortunately, it's an all too common situation. Someone tries to leave an abusive relationship / marriage, but it's hard. They're scared for their life. They're scared, period. They want to protect their children if they have them. And a lot of the times these situations end in someone being killed or severely injured. And I think that aspect needs to be looked into further in this case. But investigators say that they haven't found any proof of that. Another huge question people have is, how did she maintain the Sharon Neely identity for 40 years? There's a lot of talk about potential identity theft or help from others that allowed her to get married and live in a high-profile community like the Villages without a single red flag. So many questions and so much speculation, and the case is still going. 40 years. Wow. I'll end with this. What do you think? Was she this mom protecting her child from this abusive or toxic marriage? Or was she just a kidnapper who got caught 40 years too late? Ralph versus the Rot will return next episode, where I get into your stories, experiences, situationships, even and answer your questions while doing my best to give you some perspective. If you want to submit, simply email screamsocietypodcast@gmail.com. My inbox is always open over on Instagram at Scream Society Podcast. Everything remains anonymous, but until then, a big thank you to those who have submitted. Don't worry, I will get into your submissions next episode. It was just a lot with Epstein. Like, I had questions lined up and then I was like, I don't have the mental capacity to give the answers that I want with these. So I will save them for the next episode. Make sure to get them in. Remember, keep it respectful and honest. Check out the links in bio on the podcast socials and support a homosexual in need by buying some merch. But until next time, I'll scare you all on the next episode. And I kid you not, I just felt something behind me. Thank you for tuning into the Scream Society podcast. Hosted, written, produced, and edited by yours truly, Ralph Anthony. Help the society grow by subscribing on your favorite platform and leave a rating and review. I always strive for 5s. Have a horror or paranormal experience? Want me to answer your questions on the show? Submit to beacons.ai/The Scream Society. Connect with the podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Scream Society Podcast. And until next time, I'll scare you on the next episode.